So I'd like to welcome you all, and Romana and I are very pleased with your presence tonight, and it's one way of showing our appreciation to Timothy, and also to listen to him on a more informal basis. And we'd like to
I'm
welcome
so grateful
Timothy.
that the Islamic teachings have opened up an understanding of peace for me, which is not static and not spatial. That peace is, instead of being a place that we want to get to, or a moment of our own psychology or spirituality, or something that happens in meditation, that peace is living and it's dynamic, and peace is God. So peace is active, and peace is available. And like all attributes of God, it doesn't require anything of me other than my desire for it. And it doesn't require anything of me other than my openness to it. And being aware of our need for peace in a world which is not peaceful, and in a life which is not peaceful. Being aware of our need for it, and hungering for it, and thirsting for it, is the opening. This is the way we call peace into our life. By attending to that wounded place and realizing how unpeaceful our life is and our reality is, and asking God to fill that space. And so I wish peace upon each and every one of you. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, who is the Rahman, the maternal lover of humanity, the one who remains connected to us as a mother remains connected to her children, and we see the evidence all around us. The Rahman, the Rahim, infinite graciousness, infinite compassion, infinite mercy. The God who wrote this idea of mercy or compassion or connectedness upon God's self in the Quran. In God's name we begin. And we ask for prayers upon the Prophet Muhammad al-Mustafa, God's chosen and God's beloved. The one who came to seal and to verify and to affirm what all of the prophets have always taught. The Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the seal of the prophets. And the one who is sent as nothing but a mercy unto all the world. So rahmatan lil alameen. May God's prayers and God's blessings be upon him. In the best of all possible senses, I feel totally impoverished by this evening. By the love and the friendship that's here. And I'm challenged to reflect upon the fact that, in my own unfolding religious life, at times I've longed for a sheikh, a master who would come and take me and initiate me into the mysteries. But I've come to see that all of these luminous souls that have graced my journey in the world have been my teachers. And Rumi, Maulana, one of the books I brought here just for company tonight, says that sometimes when friends sit together tablets appear. And so revelation, we think of revelation as something which stopped with the Quran, but there are all kinds of ways in which God makes God's own mercy and God's wisdom known to us. And it's not wrong to call that revelation. And I remember that one evening we spent a light upon light on the theme of community. And we asked ourselves and one another, and we asked the Quran and the tradition and other traditions as well, we asked whether the spiritual journey is really possible in isolation. Whether you can just do this by yourself. And after reading some texts and engaging each other and looking deeply into our own hearts that night, I think most of us walked away with the realization that while solitude is essential for cultivating our religious life and our relationship with God, that there's no way that we would be able to walk the path without each other. Even the Prophet of God, alayhi salatu wassalam, al-Mustafa, was surrounded by his friends. And we see stories in the mystical literature about great masters who were saved by their disciples. But in all of it, we see truly that no human being can make this journey alone. And we need each other. And really tonight, for me, is a celebration of how we have walked the path together. And how, for me, it's a celebration of how you have taught me and guided me along that path. But really what this is an evening of fellowship where we have the blessing of being in one another's presence. And we have the blessing and the opportunity of pondering what revelations God is giving us through one another. We are all teachers on the path, really. And we are all disciples on the path, really. And for the life of me, I can't think of anything maybe that I've really offered any of you, other than a reflection of the courage and the faith and the unique giftedness that each one of you brings to the world and to each other. I've learned so much from you, and I've grown so much from you. And I know that if it comes to pass that we have to leave Toronto, that we will always have community with each other. Some people have asked me, why do I beat myself up so much before I give a khutbah, or why do I do that? But for me, that's precisely the thing that allows me to have a little bit of authenticity, is to realize that in no way have I been exempted from the human experience. The fears, the scars, the woundedness, the anger, the struggle to forgive, sometimes the desperate struggle to be forgiven. God has 99 attributes in the Quran, and we are taught in the prophetic speech that whoever just takes one of those attributes and acts upon it and manifests it, that person will enter the garden. Part of the beauty of our difference is that we've been given the ability, the unique ability, just by being you and just by being me, we've been given the ability to reflect those attributes to one another, even when we're not even aware of our reflecting. It's when we gather like this, we are really gathering not just in God's presence, but we're part of God's presence by coming together. And I celebrate that, and I affirm that, and I feel so deeply that tonight is not about me, and it's not about what I've done for you or for anyone. It's really about what we continue to be and to do for each other. Let's celebrate that tonight. In the light of Ramadan, in the light of that beautiful tree which is neither of the east nor of the west. The beautiful thing about the Surah of Light, and I've said this once in a khutbah and I often forget it, so some of you may have too, is that the Surah of Light doesn't say that God's light just shines upon the earth. And of course, if God wanted to, it could do that, right? Just boom. But know that the light needs to have like a lamp and in a niche. And the lamp is like glass, and the glass is like a pearly star, and the light inside that lamp doesn't come directly from God, it comes from a blessed tree, an olive. It's neither of the east nor of the west, but an olive whose oil is just about to burst forth with light, though no fire has touched it. So this beautiful metaphor we get is this metaphor of the divine light coming into the creation through all of these intermediate ways. And that's how the light of this room arrived here. That's how the mercy of this room arrived here. That's how God's presence in this room arrived here. Could have, if the Quran is the shifa, the healing of humankind, and if Ramadan is the month that shifa was given, that healing, then that's something for us to celebrate this month. And for us to reflect, to channel, and to live with and for one another, inshallah. May God accept your fasting. May God accept all the good that you do. And when I say the fasting, I don't just mean the hunger and the thirst. I mean all of those ways in which you have held tight and have waited for God. All of those ways in which you have held true and waited for God. All of those ways in which you have restrained those forces which take life away, in the hope that God will replace those negative qualities with God's own beautiful qualities. May God accept all of that fasting. May God accept all of the good that you do. May God bless your Ramadan. May God bless each and every moment of your lives. May God make of each and every one of you a blessing to the world as you've been a blessing to me. In the presence of God, in the presence of ourselves as we were truly created to be, and always, always in the presence of one another. Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends.